we are going to start a little jellyfish project. So it's going to be a 3D jellyfish. So we're going to use clay. I have clay right here. But the first thing I want to do is I'm using a canvas board for this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of draw how many jellyfish I'm going to have on my board. So I have my pencil and my canvas board, and I'm just going to draw a circle. And that's going to be our jellyfish body. And then I'm just going to draw some lines. Those are going to be our tentacles. So I like one there. Ooh, that's a big one. I'm going to make it a little smaller than that. You're not going to need a ton of clay for this. I think I'm going to do 3 jellyfish. So after we play with our clay a little, we'll paint our board, but I'm just going to draw those jellyfish. All right, so I have 3 jellyfish, and right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play with my clay a little, and then I'm going to make some meatballs and flatten the meatballs to make our bodies for our jellyfish. So I'm going to put the video in some time lapse while I play with the clay. You can play with the clay with a little. The more you play with the clay, the easier it is to work with, and you can make whatever you want. I'm just going to play with it a little, and then I am going to start making my meatballs and flattening the meatballs, not too flat, but into pancakes. So I'm going to take my jellyfish bodies. I kind of molded them into ovals. I'm going to set them aside because we're going to let them totally dry for a day. And then tomorrow we're going to come back and paint them. And how we're going to paint them is we're going to do like, use the back of our paintbrush, the back of our small paintbrush, and put dots all over them. Also, if you got pink clay and you want to make your jellyfish green, we could paint it green when everything's completely dry. When it's completely dry, it'll just be a little easier to paint, and when we put our dots in, it won't make an indent. So with your extra clay, make sure, so this is air dry clay, so if you leave these out, if you leave the bodies out, they will dry. But for the rest of your clay, you should put it in a Ziploc bag to save it. So we're gonna paint the background, let our clay dry, and then tomorrow we'll come back and add all our little details. We'll add our tentacles, we'll paint our bodies, maybe put some bubbles or some fish in the background. So I am just going to paint my board a solid color pretty much. I'm going to paint it blue, and then on top I'm going to make it a lighter blue. So I'm going to use my big brush, but you could pretty much use any brush that you have. So I am just I'm going to move my bodies more just so they don't get painty. So I'm just going to take my blue paint. And when you're painting, you could kind of go right over your bodies. So my blue paint is kind of separated. So I'm going to just add a little bit of white paint. And I'm only using blue and white for this. I don't know if you could see my paint over here. My blue is very watery for some reason. So I'm like going right over my tentacles and my bodies if you have to. Not a big deal if you cover them. And whenever you paint, you should have a paper towel and some water nearby. Because if you want to make this like, you could make a teal color or something. When you're mixing colors, always have some. So I'm going to leave my very top really not painted right now, and I'm going to wash my brush. And then I'm going to go back and add some white. Wash it really good. I just have a plastic red cup. Hit the bottom a couple times. Especially with the big brushes, they hold more paint, so you're going to have to wash it really good. So I'm just on top, I'm going to use that white, and then I'm going to mix it with some of that blue. So it's going to take nice long strokes. I'm going to put some more dark down here. So it's gonna go from like light to dark. So then once your background is dry, you're gonna let it dry completely. Let the clay dry. We'll finish the rest tomorrow, so we'll add all the details tomorrow. So this is kind of like a 2-day project. So we'll finish everything tomorrow. So let everything dry and then we'll put it all together. And tomorrow you're gonna need some paint and some glue. All right, thanks for joining me.